doing today?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Of course.
Okay, on the phone we talked quite a bit, but I'm glad to see you in person
Yeah,
finally.
it's great to meet you.
Okay, all right, so before we get started, there's a couple of things that I do need to cover before we start the session. It's related to confidentiality. So I want to let you know that everything that you say in this room is confidential, with the exception of if you tell me that you want to cause harm to yourself, children, or an elderly person. And, with that, I do have a duty to act as far as I do need to report it to the appropriate authorities. You understand that
Yes.
statement? Okay, all right. Have you had any suicidal ideations of harming yourself or even harming other people?
No.
Okay, all right, great. So, what brings you in today?
Well, I'm here today. I'm not actually sure if I am in the right place, but I'm kind of just in this like lost place, kind of just unsure, uncertain about who I am and, the gender that I was assigned at birth.
Okay.
And so I was assigned female sex at birth, but I do not identify as a female in almost any way, shape, or form. But I just feel like mentally, my body and my body and my mind are not connecting because I see myself as a male, but I am in a woman's body.
Okay, all right. So, talk to me more about that. You said mentally, it seemed as if your body and mind are not connecting. Talk to me more about that.
So like I said, I feel like and I live my life like a man, as a man.
Okay.
I only date women. I have always dressed in manlier, masculine clothes. For my parents said it started when I was in about maybe first grade. It was very early on. At first, we were required to wear uniforms, I remember, and they were dresses, and I really hated that. And so, after we got out of uniforms, my parents put us in public school, so we didn't have to wear uniforms anymore.
Okay.
And that's when I could start wearing, the shorts and t-shirts that I wanted to, and I just felt more comfortable in those clothes than in wearing dresses and skirts.
So, what I heard you say is that you live a life like a man. Talk to me more about that.
So I don't really ascribe to anything that is associated with or would identify me as a woman. I don't like using public restrooms because I do not like to go into a woman's restroom and have people know that I am a woman. I present myself as a man, I live my life as a man, and so having to put myself in those types of situations makes me uncomfortable. Even at the gym, when I have to go into the locker room and I have to pick between a male or female locker room, I would just go home or just not go to the gym because I don't want to go into a women's locker room or a women's bathroom, anything like that.
So, how does that make you feel when you have that type of situation to where you choosing to go home?
Well, it's frustrating, and that's kind of why I'm at this place in my life where I'm trying to decide if I want to, I decided that I'm interested in pursuing surgeries and physical changes to make, the way that I see it is that just my body has not caught up to my mind.
Okay.
So, mentally I am a man. I live as a man. I wear men's clothing. I am a man. but my body is just not there. I was kind of born in the wrong body. So I just need to, the way I see it, I need to help my body catch up. So there's, I did some research in the library, and that's why I came to, the school's clinic, because, I found out that there's hormone treatments that I can do to make me develop facial hair. And, that's one of the things that that I really came in about, because as I, develop and grow older, people are going to be able to tell I'm not a man, because I'm not going to have a beard. I'm not going to have a mustache, facial hair. My face isn't going to develop like a man's. And so I want to try to get an early start on that, and, pursue these hormone treatments. And also, I'm not really sure about, any other surgeries. But I do know that I want to definitely have my breasts removed as well. I do not like my breasts. I've never liked them since about maybe elementary school. I've always binded them and covered them with a belt so that my chest appears flatter and people don't know that I have breasts. I just never want people to see me as a woman, because I'm not a woman.
Okay. And talk to me more about that. You say you don't want people to see you as a woman because you're not a woman.
I genuinely do not feel as though I'm a woman inside. I have a girlfriend, and even some of the questions that I ask her, she says she's taken aback by them, because I am also a woman. But I ask her questions like about her menstruating and things like that, or I'll be like, well, how do women deal with this? And she'll be like, well, you are also a woman. But that was earlier on in our relationship. Now she sees me for the man who I am. But I don't want people to see me as a woman, because that's just not who I am. That's why I don't go into public restrooms where it's identified by man or woman. I won't go into a locker room, or there's even been times when I was growing up where you had to pick school teams, and they would do boys only or girls only, and I would just not participate, because I didn't want to be on the girls only team and have everyone know that I was a girl. So, and they wouldn't let me play on the boys only team.
Okay. So going back to something that you said you don't like people to see you as a woman. How does that make you feel when they see you as a woman?
Well, I almost always correct them. So if somebody refers to me as she or her or anything like that, I will say he or him or his and correct those pronouns, because I genuinely do not feel as though I am a woman. And it makes me feel like even more frustrated with the fact that I am in the wrong body and I'm not the person that I want to be.
When you feel frustrated, what does that feel like?
It feels like, I get these thoughts of, how I'm always gonna be dealing with this, about, is it ever gonna get any easier? Am I always gonna have to be, trying to hide or keep this? It's almost like I have a secret, and, I just don't wanna live with a secret.
So you say it feels like a secret. Talk more about that.
So because people don't know who I am, they just see me, and most people see me as ambiguous. They don't know how to determine or take me. So some people will just guess if I'm a man or a woman. And, when they're wrong and they assume that I'm a woman, it really frustrates me. Like I said, it makes me feel like this is just going to be something I have to deal with forever. It's never going to get any better. And, it really just makes me feel like, why couldn't I just be born a male?
So I hear you saying that it feels like you have to deal with this forever. talk to me more about when you say forever, how does that land on you? Meaning how, I guess, you mentioned that people sometimes guess about who you are, sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. But you say it feels like you would have to deal with this for a lifetime, so what feeling are generated with that?
Well, I feel frustrated because I don't want to deal with this forever, but because I haven't really done anything to, I guess, make a step to help people be able to differentiate if I am a male or female, then I can't necessarily be upset about it, and that's why I've taken these steps now to, or I'm going to take these steps to change my body so that not only will I not have to constantly be correcting people, but it'll be more affirming for myself to be living in the body that I want to be in.
So I hear you say that you're going to do the hormone treatment. Is there anything else you're planning to do?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to do those. I have looked into them, that's why I kind of came to you. I wanted to just see if this is something that I actually want to pursue or not. But I definitely want to have hormone treatment and have my breasts removed. I am pretty against any bottom surgeries or any surgeries to my genitalia, but as far as hormone treatments and a breast reduction or removal, those are two things that I'm very interested in.
Okay. When did this start?
When
as
did
far
what
as
start?
having feeling that that your mind and body are not connected, as far as your sexual orientation?
I would say, wait, you want to know about my sexual orientation?
Well, when did it start, as far as you having these feelings that you are more like a man?
So I would say from when I was a child.
Okay.
I always would play with what were considered to be boys' toys. And like I said, our parents had us in private schools up until elementary school, where we had to wear uniforms, and I always wanted to wear the boys' uniform, but was forced to wear either the skirt or the dress because of the sex that I was assigned at birth. And so I would say it started as far back as maybe elementary school. I was having these feelings.
And you speak to the sex that you were assigned at birth. What was the sex that you were assigned at birth?
Female.
Okay. And did the symptoms get worse or better as far as your feeling that you are more assigned to a male than a female? Has it gotten worse over the years? Well, has it increased over the years?
Yes, I would say it's maybe not increased, but it's shown more importance later on in life. Because a lot of things require, I guess, you to make a decision based on your sex, and because my sex and gender don't equate, I always have that dilemma. So as I've gotten older, I can control situations in where I have to pick between being male or female, or having to go into a man or woman's restroom. But I'm just getting to the point where I'm tired of having to do that, because I've basically done that my entire life, avoided situations where I have to pick, and I'm just tired of doing that. I know who I am as a person, and I know the person that I want to live to be. So I just have to do what I need to do to get to the person that I want to be.
Okay, so you mentioned you can control the situation. Talk to me about what does control look like and feel like to you?
Wait, control what
You
situation?
said, there's certain situations in which you control as far as choosing what restroom you go to when you're out and things like that. You say you can control that.
Mhm.
So what does that feel like as far as maybe, what does it feel like not to be able to control that?
Well, I don't really have those situations, but I've never felt like anybody has forced me to pick a gender.
Okay.
I felt like that when I was a child, and we were at school, and I had to go to the bathroom, and there was no option. Like, I either go to the males or the women's, or I hold it until I got home.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I would hold it until I got home, but if I genuinely had to go into a bathroom, I would have to go into the women's because I would not want to get in trouble for going into the men's. But I would be forced to pick, and I guess of course I don't like being forced or feel like I'm being, I don't want to feel like I'm being forced to have to pick.
Mm-hmm.
But as an adult, it's like I can avoid that. It's just that I'm tired of having to do it. When I go out with my fiance, I would like okay, she goes into the women's restroom, I go into the men's restroom, we meet outside, we just go about like any other couple. But I'm not able to do that because there's situations where it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna go into the men's restroom and risk something happening, but I also don't feel comfortable going into the same restroom as my wife, who even my wife considers me to be a man. She considers our relationship to be heterosexual. She does not see herself as a homosexual, as I don't see myself as a homosexual either, because I am a man and she's a woman. So when if I were to be forced to go into the same bathroom with her, it would be uncomfortable to me and to her. She would essentially be going into a bathroom with her husband.
Okay. You mentioned that you're tired of picking. I've heard that many, many times. Tired of picking. Talk to me more about when you say you're tired of picking. What does that feel like? What happens?
I don't know. I have to basically weigh the pros and cons on if it's going to be not even safe. I know it's illegal and wrong for me to go into a man's bathroom because I don't identify as a male. But also I don't feel physically, or not physically, but mentally, emotionally comfortable going into a women's restroom. So that's why most of the times I just avoid that, because the end is always going to be that I would just have to use the women's restroom to avoid not getting in trouble. I wouldn't want to get arrested or anything like that because I'm using the inappropriate restroom and making the males in there feel uncomfortable because I'm not technically identified on paper as a male. I would not want to go in there and make them feel uncomfortable, so I would have to use a women's restroom.
Okay. All right, so going back to your childhood, when you said, as far as the sports, it was okay. Well, I think I heard you say maybe there was at one point in which maybe you had to pick or choose because the sports were segmented.
Mm-hmm.
Boys would do their sports, girls would do their sports. So what are some of, when you were in that situation, how did you feel if you had to pick or choose female or male sports?
I didn't pick. I just avoid, just like the same thing with the bathrooms. I just avoid it because at the end of the day, I can't make myself be a man.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't ever get to pick. Mm-hmm. I would just always have to go with the women because they're not going to let me play on a male's team. I'm not a male, They're not going to let me use a male's restroom. I'm not a male. So even though the thought crosses my mind because I identify as a male, because I'm not a male on paper, because I'm not a male to other people, I know that I can't just push myself into a male's arena and just be like, because I say I'm a male, so I'm going to be on this boys team, or I'm going to use a men's restroom, I'm going to use a male's locker room. I could get arrested, I could get in trouble, I could, have actual repercussions happen to me for doing that. So I just always have to go with the sex that I am, and that's why I would like to change that.
Okay, all right. You talked a lot about avoidance. Seems like you've been dealing with avoidance throughout your life, avoiding the sports in school, avoiding the restrooms. Where did that come from? Is it because of the legal ramification, or can you speak to some of the things that's causing you to avoid some of this information, these choices that you have to make?
Well, I don't think I struggle with avoidance. The avoidance comes from from having to pick. It's all, everything comes back to having to pick. I don't think that I actually struggle with avoidance. It's just that I'm not gonna keep doing the same situation. Like, and almost it would make me uncomfortable. So I'm not gonna put myself in a situation to be uncomfortable. If I know I don't identify as a woman, I'm not gonna force myself into the women's restroom because it's gonna make me uncomfortable. If I know I don't identify as a woman, I wouldn't, I don't wanna join the girls soccer team because I know it's gonna make me uncomfortable. It's basically about my own comfortability, I guess. I will avoid something if it's going to make me uncomfortable, especially because I know that, I have this dilemma going on within myself.
Okay, all right. Talk to me more about your childhood. You talked about school. What about in your household?
So I grew up and I have 3 siblings. We had a pretty normal childhood. Both of my parents knew about this dilemma that I've had. Like I said, I've been dressing this way since I was in elementary school. I always played with stereotypical boys' toys. I always did what my brothers were doing. I even once was caught, when I was younger, kissing this girl. But she thought I was a male, and I also thought I was a male. So she thought she was making out with a little boy, and we ended up getting caught. And after that, my parents they weren't really upset about it, like I said, because they've kind of known for a while that the way that I was. It was more so that they just kind of brushed it off, and they even still to this day kind of brush it off.
How does that make you feel that they're brushing it off?
I mean, it's not that they don't. I wouldn't say brush it off as a negative thing.
Okay.
They just don't necessarily focus on it. They think that it's a phase, that I'm gonna grow out of it. I'm only 21. I'm just young, and just figuring myself out. But I feel like I would rather than brush it off than be like hyper focused on it and trying to force me to figure something out or live a life that I don't want to, because I know some parents will do that to their children.
Okay. And this seems very serious to you. So when you say that it seems like in their mind it's a phase, how does that make you feel, considering that it seems serious to you, but it's a phase to them?
It doesn't really make me feel any type of way, honestly.
Okay.
I feel like I've kind of grown out of like expecting some type of response or anything from them, because this has been my entire childhood. They have seen me my entire time growing up as this person, as who I live by. So the things that they say, I'm not really that fazed by it, because they have let me live the life of the person that I want to be. If they were more combative or restrictive, then maybe I would feel differently, but they have let me freely be who I want to. They just don't necessarily know if this is who I'll be forever, which that's not really me to prove it to them. That's how I feel.
Okay, all right. And what about your siblings? You said you have 3 siblings. What are the sexes?
2 males and a female.
Okay. And how do they feel about some of the things that you just mentioned?
We've never really talked about it, honestly. They just see me as their sibling. That's not something they've brought up to me.
Okay. What about your friends?
Most of my friends consider me as a male, see me as a male. They've also, they know who I am, and the same thing I would say with my siblings. That's why it's never really something we talk about or a point of discussion, because this is just who I am. It's who I've always been. I don't think any of my siblings or my friends have ever seen me presented as a female in even female's clothing. Like I said, for as long as I can remember, when we started public school was the first time I started wearing male's clothing, and that was in elementary school. So I don't think anybody that I know now has ever seen me present as a woman or live my life as a woman. They just know me as Chris.
Okay. How did it make you feel when you were wearing those male clothes when you were in elementary school?
I just felt comfortable. I felt like those were the clothes that I was supposed to be in.
Okay. And you feel the same way today?
Yeah.
Okay. You've shared a lot of good information. At the end of the day, what's the goal? What is the goal? I think you mentioned lightly that you want to somehow reconcile the mind and body. Can you talk more about any other goals that you have for the session?
That really just gained some clarity on, how soon I want to start these procedures, and, just being, I guess, comfortable with my decision. Not that I feel uncomfortable about it, I just know that this is something I've really wanted to do for a long time. So it's like, I feel like a big decision, like kind of buying a car. It's not something that I just want to go and do without any, background, any information, anything like that. So I wanted to come and talk to someone about it, just make sure, my head was in the right place before I decided to make these changes.
And you mentioned that you were married?
Yes.
Congratulations. And
well, she's my fiance.
Your
But
fiance.
yeah.
Okay, fiance. Okay. And then you mentioned your wife. So
Yeah.
I don't know for sure. Okay. So.
I consider her my wife, so I may say that sometimes.
No worries. And what's her name?
Lynn.
Lynn. Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about Lynn's perspective about what you are going through.
So Lynn is actually very supportive. She is someone that I've known for a while now, and she, just like my friends, sees me as a male. Like I shared with you earlier, she sees our relationship as heterosexual. Neither of us have ever considered me as a woman. She's usually the one who brings up the fact that I'm really not a woman, because like I shared earlier, she'll make comments about things and she'll be like, well, you should know you are a woman, and it's like she doesn't know to say if I am or not, but it's like I can't relate to women things that like she can, so but we're very happy together. She just wants me to live, in my own happiness, and she's very supportive of me doing these things. She was also very supportive of me, like, opening up and just living as myself, and, not having to, I guess, pick. She, like, even in terms of our relationship with one another, there was some times where I would be a little apprehensive with her because, I wasn't completely sure with myself. Like, for example, during our times of intimacy, I, at first in our relationship, struggled with allowing her to touch me in any way because I didn't really, I'm not happy with this body. This body is not who I am. This body's not me, so I didn't really want her engaging with this body. But over time, she has helped me to learn that, this is the body that I have to live in, and I still deserve to be, held, nurtured, pleasured the same way that she does. So she's really helped me in opening up in a lot of senses in that way, because she really is affirming to me as being a man, which most of my friends and family are, because that's the only person they know me as a man. Most of the times it's people on the outside who don't really know how to take me as a male or a woman, because I look and present as a male, but some people's, because of my absence of facial hair, stronger bone structure, jaw structure in my face, they see me as female, so some will still use she, her.
She, her, okay. And how does that make you feel when they use she, her?
I just usually correct them, but I know that I can't blame them or I don't get upset, because I am ambiguous. I am bisex, a female. I just present as a male, and I haven't done anything to change my body, so I can't necessarily fault them for wondering or being confused or misgendering me.
Okay, interesting word that you use, ambiguous. Talk to me more about what that means to you, ambiguous.
Well, I would say by definition I'm ambiguous in terms of my sex and gender, because my sex is female, but I identify as a male.
Okay.
So I'm not, my sex and gender they don't align. I'm not cis.
Okay, all right. A lot of good information. Thank you so much for sharing. I would like to capture some more information to get a real holistic understanding of who you are first. So I do have some questions I may ask you. They may feel personal, but if you could just kind of bear with me as we go through this line of questions. Just really want to understand you better so I can make sure that we reach our goals with your treatment plan, that we are very, very closely aligned, okay? You said that, I guess you engaged at this point in time.
Yes.
Okay. And Lynn?
Yes.
Okay. When's the wedding date?
We don't have one yet.
Soon to come, huh?
Yeah, we're still kind of young, so.
It's time. How old are you?
21.
21. And your date of birth?
It is March 14th of 82.
82. All right. Are you currently employed?
No. I'm a student.
Yeah. All right. Where do you go to school?
Great Water University.
Oh, what are you majoring in?
I am majoring in business and marketing, yeah.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know that yet. I
Still
don't know that yet. I just know I like to put on a suit and I like to be in a boardroom, so.
Right. Are you currently living here in the city?
Yes, Lynn and I live together. We have an apartment together.
Were you referred by anyone to this session?
No, it was just me after doing some research at the school's library about, some treatments and some different, not treatments, but different courses of action I could take. So I just decided to stop by. Somebody suggested it to me.
As far as psychiatric history, any past history?
No.
Okay. Any past outpatient treatment or anything of that nature?
No.
Have you had any suicidal thoughts or attempts previously?
I have had some thoughts of not wanting to be here when I was younger, just because there was more situations where I was forced to pick between being male or female, and I was just feeling really uncomfortable, and that kind of stopped after I got older, where, like I said, I could control situations where I had to pick. When in school I couldn't control which bathroom, I just had to go to the bathroom. Okay. Or I couldn't control which locker room, so I would just have to go in a stall all the way in the back and change my clothes where nobody could see me, because I still had to change my clothes. So But now it's like if I'm gonna change my clothes, I'll just change them before I leave home or once I get back home, you know. So I can control more of the situations, so I'm not forced to be uncomfortable.
As far as substance abuse history, have you ever used alcohol or drugs?
No.
Medical history, any surgeries, hospitalization? Any current medical problems at this time?
No.
Allergies?
No.
Are you taking any currently taking any medication?
Just vitamins.
Vitamins, okay. As far as your social habits, tobacco, caffeine, illicit drugs?
I mean, I drink alcohol sometimes with friends. Yeah, we go out.
Sexual history, I know we've been talking a lot about that, I just wanna make sure, that I understand completely the full picture. So as far as your sexual orientation, talk to me about that.
I would say my sexual orientation is heterosexual.
Okay. Have you ever been pregnant?
No.
Any birth control pills at this point? Or
No.
any birth control at all?
No.
STDs?
No. I actually, one of the procedures that I was researching is getting my uterus removed. And that's actually something that I'm interested in because I don't plan on carrying or having my own children.
Okay.
I would want that for my wife, and so I don't want to menstruate anymore, and I don't see the point in having a uterus. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that. Family history. I know you mentioned that you have 3 siblings. Are your parents?
They're still together.
Still
Yeah.
together? Okay. Okay. And where are you in the birth order?
I'm the second youngest.
Second youngest. And how's your relationship overall with your family?
Pretty good. Like I said, they just see me as their brother, son, you know. They've always seen me as this person, they know me as this person, so they would be more shocked if I presented as a woman or were presented in a feminine way, so.
Okay. All right. Now you talked about some of the things that you experienced as a child as far as the mind and body, and some ambiguity there. Any other childhood emotional or sexual abuse may have happened at that point?
No abuse, no. I had a fairly good childhood.
Family psychiatric history?
No.
Family, do they use any substance or alcohol abuse, any of that?
No.
Any suicidal or violent behavior in your family?
No.
All right. Dating history, I know currently you are engaged to Lynn, and you mentioned about the situation with the girl when you were younger. Any other relationships?
Yeah, I had a previous, I was in another serious relationship with a woman, but that did not last very long. She was unsure of pursuing our relationship long term because I still was a woman, so she also had never been with someone who was biologically a woman before, so although she saw me as a male and I identified as a male, she had only ever dated men and had intercourse with men, and so she had previously was in a relationship with her boyfriend before we got together, and it ended up that her and I were together for a while, but I think she the way that she explained it was that she missed a man or I guess maybe I'm not sure what she meant by like a real man or an actual man, but I think she ended up going back to dating her boyfriend or dating another male, and I think she's married now, actually, the last time I heard.
How did that make you feel when she mentioned she missed the man?
Like I said, I'm never upset about people when they say stuff like that because I am not a male. I'm not, on paper I was assigned at birth that I am a female, and I know some people still have that confusion, so that is why I'm just trying to pursue these steps to try to alleviate some of that confusion.
Okay. Any hobbies?
I like to garden.
Garden, oh wow. What do you normally grow?
I actually enjoy growing all of my own fruits and vegetables, so yeah, I'm not really into the flowers, but I do like fruits and vegetables.
Okay. And your religion?
I'm not religious.
Okay. Now we're gonna transition, talk about your education, highest level of education that you.
I'm currently in school
Okay.
for a bachelor's.
And how are your grades at this point in time? Sound like your parent, what are your grades?
They're fairly good, thank you.
Any school issues?
Oh no.
All right, and you're a full-time student. Is Lynn, does she work?
Yes, she does. She is a barista.
Oh, wow. Okay, have you had any previous jobs before?
Yes, I worked at a hardware store.
And how long did you work there?
Most of the time when I was in high school, up until maybe like a year ago, so I would say about 6 years maybe.
And reason for leaving?
I just, school.
School.
Yeah.
In the military?
No.
Background? Okay, as far as, any trauma or abuse in your childhood or in your adulthood?
No.
And when you were growing up, and even now, do you feel that you have enough to eat? Do you have clothing, things of that nature?
Mm-hmm.
You said your parents are still together?
Yes.
Does anyone in your family suffer with mental illness or have attempted suicide or show signs of depression?
Not that I know about.
Any drinking problems or prescription drug use in your family?
No, not that I know about.
Okay. Did your parents ever threaten each other or you?
No.
Have you lived with anyone that has gone to prison or jail?
No.
No, okay. Any verbal abuse or insults from your family, friends, or anyone?
I would say that sometimes, people, I guess they can tell that that my gender and sex are a little ambiguous. Not sure if it's maybe my voice or what, but sometimes I will have people like yell slurs at me and my wife when we're out and stuff like that.
And how does that make you feel when you hear those type of things?
It makes me sad for her because, she didn't really sign up for that, and, it's not necessarily something that she can control, but she has to deal with because she's with me.
And what feelings do you have?
Like I said, I understand people's confusion because I'm also confused myself.
Okay.
So that's how I look at the whole thing. I'm confused myself with myself, so I can't necessarily expect people to know what I don't even know about myself. Well, I just know that I'm a male, but I don't know how to get there. I don't know, what that's gonna look like for me, everything like that. So I can't be upset with them for not knowing something that I'm still trying to figure out.
Okay. Well stated. Okay, legal history. Any legal history?
No.
Okay, it's just a couple of questions, just to make sure, that you're present in the moment. So can you tell me where you are at this point in time?
Oh yeah, I'm at the school's clinic.
Okay. And what's today's date?
Today's August 2nd,
August 2nd. What year?
2023.
2023. Okay, great, good. Exactly. Now I'm gonna tell you 3 words, and, I'm not gonna ask you those immediately, but just kind of tell me eventually, okay? When I ask you for it, when you're prompted. Paper, school, couch, okay? Who's currently the president?
Biden?
Okay. What time of day is it?
Afternoon, morning. Well, it's like late morning.
Okay, late morning. And what are your strengths and weaknesses, or opportunities? I don't like to call them weaknesses. What are your strengths and opportunities?
I would say my strengths are, people tell me I'm pretty empathetic and kind. And my opportunities for growth, maybe my confidence, like being able to say what I mean and mean it.
Okay, all right. What are those 3 words?
Paper, school, couch?
Yep, there you go. All right, do you hear or see things?
No.
Sometimes, okay. All right. Now, going back to your goals, I will understand that there are some things that you want to work through in this session, as far as some of the ambiguity, as far as getting your mind and body aligned, or make you feel more comfortable, more confident. We would have multiple sessions to kind of work through a lot of these things. So you've shared a lot, appreciate that. I'm sure more sessions you will be sharing a lot more, which is good. So we can work together and in partnership, probably with your family as well, just to make sure that Chris has more understanding of who his thoughts are at the end of the day. So any questions you have for me before we adjourn this session? I know we're gonna meet next week at the same time, but any questions at this point in time?
No.
Okay, all right. Well, Chris, I wanna thank you for sharing. I know that probably takes a lot, especially to someone who you haven't met, but thank you so much for being forthcoming. I really appreciate that. That will help us on this journey of helping you to discover and work out your goals and kind of meet those goals. So again, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
With that, the session ends, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.